Hello, I'm Phil at DigitalDJTips.com, and today we're having a look at this controller, which is the Numark 4-track. This is a controller for tractor, and it is substantial. It's probably the biggest non-motorized jog wheel controller that we've ever looked at. It's similar to Numark's NS6 for Serato Itch, but it has the addition of this strip across the back, which is similar again to Numark's NS7, which is the motorized platter version of their Serato take on Serato controller, which they have. So to the 4-track then, it comes with a version of Tractor called the Tractor 4-track edition, which is quite a good version of Tractor. It's a version of Tractor 2, and it has quite a lot of features in that are in the main version. The main thing you're going to miss with that version is the substantial effects. The effects that you get in the version of the software that comes with this are alright. They're kind of half a dozen of them, but you do lose some of the functionality, and the normal full version of Tractor has got a lot of effects in it. Also, there's other bits and pieces which you would miss. You probably end up wanting to upgrade, especially if you want to use the remix decks in Tractor, which this, in common with all other Tractor controllers, including Native Instruments and including the S4 and the S2, cannot control the remix decks of Tractor. So if you're a budding controllerist or DJ producer who is interested in that stuff, you're going to want to buy a DJ controller and then add the Tractor Control F1 as well. And for that, you're going to need the full Tractor 2.5, but it's in the box with the F1 anyway. So there's a little bit about the software. Let's have a look. Start again. Let's have a little look at the hardware. So right up the middle of the mixer is this section here, which is a mixer. It's a full standalone mixer. Round the back, there is the ability to plug in 4 inputs. You can plug 4 line inputs into it, or you can plug in 2 line inputs and 2 microphones, or 2 line inputs and 2 record decks, or combinations thereof. And they get routed through these 4 channels here. You can use the EQs on them and the gains on them. The actual faders themselves are nice, a little bit scratchy, these ones. The crossfader itself is detachable and very loose. The knobs have got a pleasing feel, and there's a little button there which switches between the computer, between your software and your external source. Although switching from computer to external source immediately stops the software playing. So if you accidentally flick that while you're DJing and flick it back expecting the music to be still there, it won't be. So a little bit of a design flaw there maybe. This central section here has got a really nice set of controls for accessing your library, really fully featured that, so no need to use the mouse and keyboard very much. And also these controls here are user assignable for whatever you feel like. One bit I particularly liked on this section here was there's a key button which locks the key of the track, so that when you alter the pitch of the track, the key stays the same, but also there's a key knob so you can alter the key without changing the pitch, so you can fine tune, say, an a cappella into a backing track. I quite like that. Let's look at one of the decks. So let's look at this deck here. They are of course identical, a mirror image of each other. So the jog wheel itself is really nice. It's like the jog wheel on the NS6, but because of the colour combination, I think it looks more professional. It's exactly the same though, very smooth, nice spin when you take your hand off it, which gives you good deck effects when you're using it in scratch mode, and you use the edge, the plastic edge, for nudging. Similarly, oh, by the way, in Tractor it's very tight. Some third-party controllers don't work so well with Tractor when it comes to scratching and jog wheel, but it's really tight and really nice, no complaints. The pitch control is 14-bit. That basically means it's a fine resolution, and you can get a lot of very fine control over your pitch down to about 100th of a BPM, perfect for manual beat matching if that's your bag. The cues across the bottom are small, so if you're a fully confirmed controllerist, you're going to want to look at some other controller like the VCI 400 or even the Tractor Control S2 or S4 who've got bigger buttons for cueing. However, they're perfectly alright for all but the most advanced or all but the most extreme cueing purposes, and there are 5 of them, which is nice. So moving up here, the loop section again is very well featured. It's probably the best looping section I've seen on any controller for the amount of stuff you can do with it. There's lots of auto modes, there's a half and double loop length, a beat jump, which also can be used to shift up and down the track, and also there are manual in and outs as well. So for just normal manual looping, you've got the lot. The touch strip is really nice and it works well. It's like a needle drop, so it allows you to move along a track quickly, combined with the little button down here somewhere there, which takes you back to the beginning of the track, and the needle drop, and the LEDs along the top here, which show you how far into the track you are. All that taken together means that the transport controls, the ability to move easily around a track, again, really, really good. Probably the best I've seen on any controller. Let's talk a little bit about the strip along the top here. So this bit here screws on, and there's wires at the side which plug the two of them together, and then one wired in USB that heads off to your computer. This strip here has got filters for all 4 channels, and it's also got effects controls for each side with buttons to switch them on and off. The filters sound okay, but they're not the best out of the box with Traktor, because in order to unlock and use different filters you need to use the full strength software. So out of the box the filters are alright, maybe a little bit dull. But overall the way that this angles towards you is really nice for a couple of reasons. Firstly, it does make you want to use those controls, it looks good, it feels nice DJing with it. But secondly, it could be seen as a disadvantage, but overall I think it's an advantage. Look at the edge there, you see, and the way that the controls, the inputs and outputs and controls on the back are shielded by this back bit. Now that means that they're harder to get to, but once you have got everything plugged in, it all looks a lot neater. And of course, the only downside of that is that both of the microphone sockets are on the back. There isn't a microphone socket on the front, so that means that it's harder than it should be to just quickly plug a microphone in, especially if you're up and running, because you need to squeeze around this section here. So the pluses and minuses of this, I think as far as Traktor controllers go, it's one of the best. It's really nicely built. It's competitor to the VCI 400 by Vestax. Better if you're a controllerist, not so good if you want a booth output. And the Traktor S4 itself, again, not as well built, but better if you're a controllerist. And also the Traktor S4 works as a DVS directly, so you don't need to use an audio 6 or an audio 10 sound card in order to use it as a DVS. Same with all non-Native Instruments controllers. So as a third-party controller, you would need a Native Instruments sound card to use it as a digital vinyl system. Also, the Pioneer Ddj T1 is another competitor. This is a standalone mixer, 4 channels, unlike all of the ones we've talked about so far. Even the Pioneer, well, the Pioneer actually hasn't got any standalone at all, and the build quality of this is better than all apart from the VCI 400, which is about the same as. I like this. I think it's a good controller. You need to compare prices and features. Unless you're a hardcore controllerist or you really need DVS without extra hardware, if you want a Traktor controller and you're not bothered about it being big, in fact if you see that as an advantage, and you want the standalone mixer function, which has got one disadvantage in that the VU meters only monitor the master output, so there's no gain. You can't switch to one of the external channels or one of the internal channels, come to that and tweak the gains in order to get the VUs right, which you should be able to do on a unit which is also a standalone mixer. Apart from that, if they're the features you're looking for, I think you should put this right near the top of your list and have a go on it if you can, see if it's for you. That's the Numark 4-track, and you've been watching Phil Morse on digitaldjtips.com. Thank you.